instrument wasn't actually going to go, but then like for some reason they went, and they haven't gone in a while.
Yeah, well, to say like when something good happens for the glory of God, um, I mean, we might think it's for the glory. Maybe it's not for the glory of God. We don't know. I mean, when somebody gets saved, right? We can reverse engineer the thing and say, well, God wanted that person to get saved, or we can say that somebody obeyed God and gave the gospel, and somebody believed it. So neither one proves anyone's point. Is what I'm trying to say.
But what
Because
about the scenario that we're speaking about?
same thing. I mean, I've had a lot of things where I can't recall one off the top of my head, but I could recall having that feeling like, oh my God, like that was like what a that can't just be a coincidence. But yet at the same time, I'm like, well, why can't it be a coincidence?
But why? I mean, the thing is because in your perspective, the future isn't real. There is no such thing as the future because it hasn't happened yet.
Not there, not there yet. Right.
Even in God's mind. So God, in his, in he couldn't even have like he could guess, like you would say, he's like he can guess, but there's just no way for him to. It just seems in the scenario that's been brought up in my mind, it just seems too much of a coincidence to be like, well, I mean, it's just this is just what happened.
But
I have,
I guess you got to remember that God has a huge overview.
I'm gonna give you
But
a
not future overview.
I'm gonna
That's the
give you a
problem.
real life coincidence that happened to me, and and then you tell me because this is really a coincidence. This is I was it's pretty heavy duty, so I'm gonna open up here for a moment. I was married for 18 years to a person who was horrible. She was absolutely terrible. So I was extremely unhappy. She never want. I prayed for her for a long time to come to the Lord. She didn't. I went to church by myself for years. She basically pit me against my family, and not pit me against, but always created a strife. Just a really horrible uh, person who I met when I was 17. Never dated anyone else. Anyway, so I was married to her for 18 years, faithful. Never thought of divorce. Then one day I walk into a job, and a woman in the same exact position. Her and I meet, and it's instantaneous, absolute love, which I didn't think existed. So I come to find out that all these coincidences were true about her and myself. Like weird coincidence. Like for example, um, her mom, her mom's name was Phyllis. My mom's name was Phyllis. Her mother-in-law's name was Dolores. My mother-in-law's name was Dolores. She has two brothers. They're her half brothers, and their birthdays are September, and they're different ages, and their birthdays are September 10th and 11th. I have two brothers. One's younger, one's older. Their birthdays are September 10th and 11th. She has green eyes. I have green eyes. She basically looks like she could be related to me. So not only did we fall in love, but we found all these similarities that we thought was like this is like the soulmate thing. And this is the whole reason why I got divorced because I found my quote happiness. Well, none of that worked out in the end. And I was single for quite a while. It was a big struggle. I tried to go back with my ex even while I was with her because my kids were struggling. It was very difficult. But then I realized I can't be with my ex and I shouldn't be with her. So, are these things that her and I had in common, were they predestined by God or were they coincidences?
I'm gonna go with the latter.
So am I. And that's a lot of coincidences.
It is.
Two brothers like mine, both with the same birthdays, mom the
Yeah.
same name, mother-in-law the same name.
You find
Same,
a lot of that stuff if you go looking for it, you know? Like if you're looking for your keys, you're probably going to find them. But if you're not looking for them, well,
I
then
was
you
I
might
was
notice
I
that you're not.
wasn't I
You
wasn't looking for anything. I just walked into a person's house to give them an estimate, and
right, but then you started noticing all these coincidences, like, oh, hey, right? And you're like, wow.
well,
I've had similar things, Once upon a time, I thought I had there was a girl. I just saw her from afar, and I had a thought in my head. I don't know why I had the thought in my head, but it was this girl's going to get me in trouble, and then sure enough, she did.
right.
But like, yeah,
But like, what? All right. So, what do you guys think of the chances of those coincidences? What are the chances?
Pretty low, I think.
Extremely low.
Yeah.
Well, I think only 3% of the world has green eyes. I could be wrong on that. It's a pretty low percentage.
hello. Yeah, I got green eyes.
So do I.
Maybe it's not so low.
My
But
eye color changes and I do turn screen sometimes.
He's a reptilian. Don't listen to him.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, we can take these things that seem like coincidence, and we can, why should a coincidence be predestined from before the foundation? The word wouldn't exist if Calvinism was true. A Calvinist would never even use the word coincidence, because nothing would be a coincidence. If
Yeah.
God predestined everything.
What Calvinists say is there are no coincidences.
Right. That's my point.
I think there totally are, though.
Aren't you a Calvinist?
No, I'm definitely not a Calvinist. I mean, I like a lot of the things Sir Lord Calvin might have said, but I don't agree with every last thing he ever said, right?
Okay.
So I'm not a Calvinist per se.
You're
I
not
just
a
think
tulip?
that
You're
some
not a
of the
little
things
flower?
he said. What's that?
I said you're not a tulip?
No, I'm not a tulip. I'm more of like a really, really lemony, very lemony dandelion. I'm a weed, and I just grow everywhere.
I know a lot of believers in my past that put everything to God coincidences. Everything in their life was ordained by God. I mean, I knew people that God told me this, and God told me that, and God told me this, and God told me to go here, and God told me to go there, and
I almost
like,
can't stand the people that say that all the
what
time.
what
God
God
told
talks
me
to you
you
like
would-
that? That just would, because
God told me you would say that, Albert.
You don't
What's
think
that?
I would say that? What?
Oh, I said God told me you'd say that, Albert.
Oh, right. Of course he did. But did he tell you how many times I'm about to flip heads with my, quarter here?
So I don't know. I just don't take anything like that anymore as God ordained anymore.
I mean, if everything is preordained, then you're telling me that I lost all that money at the casino because I was supposed to, right? You're telling me it should have been red, but he made it black because he needed to defeat me. Right.
Moving along just a little bit.
Okay.
Rob asked a question in the chat the other day,
Oh.
or in not the chat, but in Discord, about the law of attraction. What do you guys think that? I think we've talked about this before, but I know a lot of people that are Christians that sort of live by it.
Can you explain it a little bit more? I don't really know what it means.
The law. It's like kind of like if you imagine
Like Bluebell cookies and cream.
you can have it.
I want some.
Yeah.
I think that the law of attraction is valid for a post 70 AD paradigm.
Okay, so here's the thing. You start talking with somebody, and if you're talking what's actually truly happening, and it could be something bad or whatever it is, the situation, and they say, oops, you know, they don't want to talk about that because they don't want to speak it into existence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
To me.
it almost becomes, you become fearful. That person has become fearful about even thinking in the negative.
Well, the book of Proverbs does say that you reap the fruit of your lips.
Yeah, but that doesn't
But
mean
that's
I
what
can
I'm saying.
speak a
So
polar bear into existence, right? Like I
That's
can't.
why that's why people knock on wood. They say something that doesn't want to happen, you know, that they
Yeah,
don't
because they
want to
say
happen.
it, they think, oh, now that I said it, it's gonna happen, so I
Right.
have to like do this thing,
is that not
otherwise I'm
superstition?
screwed.
What does the Bible say about superstitions?
Not to do it because it's
Right.
stupid.
So I think that it can even go as far as hindering your prayer life because you don't want to speak the truth.
No doubt.
Let's face it. Not everybody's life is peaches and cream, and
Absolutely not.
terrible things are happening in their lives, and but they're not allowed to talk about them because it might make it worse.
No, no, not at all. What you do is you're in a bad situation, but you say things like, but God will deliver me. The path will be clear,
What if he doesn't?
but God will deliver me. The path will be clear. I just can't see it now.
But what if he doesn't?
Well, then he's defeating
Well,
himself.
then you die.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'll give you an example.
You
What was his
die
name?
believing that God, so there's no problem. That was God's will, and so you. But I mean, the thing is that the more you believe, the more it does tend to happen. I mean, it's a phenomenon that people are starting to recognize. The more you think about a subject, it does tend to come to pass the way that you sort of thought it out.
So is that the same thing as faith, Stacy?
In a way, I think so.
But how do you differentiate the two? Because I think that one is a bondage and one is freedom.
One
But I
needs
don't know
to-
where that fine line is.
okay, what I would say is one needs to be Christ-centered. And so let's say, all right, we've got these two things. One is law of attraction and one is faith.
Hmm.
In the law of attraction camp, you've got people that are in it for what they can gain, and you've got others that are having true, genuine something. Let's call it A, okay? And then you've got the faith camp, and you've got people in the faith camp that there are some that are in it for gain, and you've got others that are in it for A. And that A is the thing that both of those camps have in common. I'm not making any sense, am I?
Well, you're a little dark, a little convoluted there, but
In other words, in either camp, you've got those who are truly sincere and are Christ centered, and in both of those camps, you've got some that are not Christ centered and are out for gain. So when you say how
okay,
do
I'll give you a
I
specific
differentiate the
example
two,
here. Okay,
can't
we're talking about the state of the world, me and a friend of mine, and I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but the state of the world, you know. And he said, "Well, we probably shouldn't talk about it because it'll bring it to pass." I'm like, "What? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm getting at there?"
I know, but the scripture basically says that if you can't handle the little things, then how can you handle the big things?
But he's right in a sense. You're
Yeah.
you're saying,
His preconceived notions, obviously. Like he's got a fear of this because he believes something somewhere else. Like by speaking words, you can manifest things. Maybe you should try hitting him with a little, like, all right, well, try and say ice cream cone and tell me if one appears. Like
I tell fortunes sometimes. I don't normally do it. My mother loves for me to do it, and so there was a lady that came over to my mother's house, and I had these tarot cards out, and I actually showed them each of the cards, and she saw the card that was the devil, and it doesn't mean the devil, but it's just it's basically just a psychology trick. But anyway, I let her see all the cards, and she's so afraid she's going to pick that devil. I'm going to pick that devil. I know I'm going to pick that devil. I'm not sure if I want to do this. I'm going to pick that devil. And then sure enough, she picked the devil card. Now, what was that? Was that a coincidence, or did she speak that into being, or did
I
God?
think she had heightened awareness, and she knew exactly where that card was.
After that was shuffled, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That was guard
Hyper awareness.
So that subconscious awareness can be the same thing as you speaking things, you know.
Yeah.
But it does when you do have that, you do tend to want to guard your speech more, and I think that is very healthy because you're
guard your speech.
careful not to idle chatter because you're afraid it might come to pass. So you recognize the power of speech.
Yeah, I'm not catching you there.
No, there is a power to speech. Like, you know, you got to watch.
I totally get it. I completely understand. Like, I mean, if you're going to condescend a child all his life and that kind of thing, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't fall for is being in fear. I'm not talking, I'm not bad mouthing somebody. I'm speaking reality. This is the reality. Now, you can't
wait
with the reality.
Wait, because I just finished my study of American politics a month or so ago, and it's clear that you can look at the same video of some event that took place, and you get two totally different realities out of it. So reality is actually relative. It's not, there's not just one reality there.
No, we all pay the same amount of taxes.
Not true.
Well, per however much you make, yes, you do.
Still not true.
Well,
you pay proportionally.
But I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So that's a fact. That's the fact that all of our mills are shutting down in British Columbia. That's a fact. Oh, we don't want to talk about it because it might come to pass. I mean, it's ridiculous. It almost is like, to me.
I think that's a misappropriation of whoever you're.
To me, I see people don't want to speak because they're almost fearful that will come to pass in their life. And what does the Bible say? That which you fear most will come upon you.
Yeah, well, but that was for them, not us, right?
No, but
or is that one of those that stands through all time?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it myself.
Well,
but these are all quoted, and
the most fearful people are going to find the best quotes. They're going to be like, "We're going to die tomorrow. Look, it says right here."
I don't live in fear of the future, but I know a lot of people that do. It seems to be a lot of fear mongering going on in these Christian churches.
Well, yeah, that's what I think our job is to reverse that. That's what we're doing here.
We're
like, you shouldn't be scared of tomorrow. Like, tomorrow should be awesome. Like, it should be, you should look forward to it because it's, there's like, even if something terrible does happen, like, come on, like, don't be a Debbie Downer here every single day. That's not good for you.
Yeah. I really need to learn the difference here because I see a lot of,
okay, so in Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. And if you're thinking about it, then you're talking about it.
But are you talking like justice? Because I think there's a lot of things that need justice.
They need just ice.
I mean, you have to talk. You have to discuss your politicians in order, because they want us to vote, right? You have to discuss these things.
But if you vote, then you're going to be a government employee.
You are anyway. But do you see what I mean? Like, if you don't discuss what's going on in the world, you don't have any idea.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you are a player in the world, so you might as well play.
In Micah chapter 6, verse 8, it says, He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's justice there.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I want to run with God? Like, is he down for the jog, or should we just keep walking?
Well, that's interesting. Hang on. What scripture is that?
Which are you asking?
It doesn't even look like it's a scripture. What we fear most is usually this guy says what we fear most is usually what we most need to do.
That's somewhat true.
I did that. I took 3 things that feared the most and I did them.
Yeah, I've been feared sometimes into paralysis where you just can't do it.
Mine was guns, riding a motorcycle, and fear heights.
Wow, so you conquered the heights.
I did the heights. I got my motorcycle license and bought a motorcycle.
Just did them all. You're like, phew.
Yeah, all in the same couple of years. And then I bought or went and got my gun license. Yeah, packed a gun for a living for a while.
Wow, you're a gun-toting biker chick.
Right, exactly.
Do you still ride?
No. I actually just selling my gear.
Oh,
but if somebody left their motorcycle right in front of you, and you really wanted to ride it.
Let me show you my helmet.
So while
I can only imagine.
Oh gosh, is it up? You've got laser beams in your helmet. That is totally got to be an illegal. That's got to be an illegal helmet. There's no way that's legal.
That's legal.
Really, you can actually have that. You could roll up on somebody and they would think you were a police officer. That's baloney.
Oh, that's cool.
It has 3 different modes on it, so.
What'd you buy that for, Stacy?
So I could be seen.
I wanted to get a flashing headlight.
I want to get like a back tail light that says like "Stop riding my ass." Like, like these people driving here are terrible.
I watched some of those YouTube ones. You've seen that one guy? He's on the freeway and he's riding along, and somebody's cutting him off, but he doesn't pull over. He rides right up along beside him and starts kicking their windows in.
Oh man,
doing 120 on the freeway.
That's nuts.
That's comfortable on a bike. A little bit of road rage, maybe too.
What kind of bike did you have?
I had a 750 Yamaha. It was all pimped out though.
Was it like where you have to lean forward type racer type sport bike, or was it?
No.
Right?
Crotch rocket? No. I thought about buying one of those, but we have a lot of gravel here.
Oh, okay.
Just not safe. Yeah. Oh, they're lots of fun.
Well, you all ready for Acts 20 before y'all fall asleep? Or shall we just change the title and skip it?
Let's change the title and skip it.
Okay, what would you rather talk
That's
about?
just my opinion. What do you guys want to do?
Well, you overrode. Like, you win. So, like,
Well, no, I'm only one voice.
oh, what? I'm not allowed to just. Okay.
Stacy, what about you? Zach, are you still awake? No, Zach fell asleep on his table.
See? So you win.
Matthew?
I'm still awake.
But what's your vote?
Oh, I say I'm not going to be on too much longer, so I don't know if
Yeah, the vote is against X20. Sorry, peoples. No X20, but go ahead, talk about whatever else then. Hopefully Bible related though.
What do you think about that, Matthew, that law of attraction thing?
Well, I mean, you know my theology. I just think that whatever happens is either God allowing free will or He's intervening in real time. If it's, you know, if it's something that He wanted to happen a long time ago, that's possible, but I don't see why He would do that post 70 AD.
Mm-hmm.
I think the prophecies were written down, were fulfilled, and the prophecies led to the new covenant, which is, the gospel is part of it. And the gospel is to be preached, and people have the choice whether they're going to believe it or not. That's what I think. And then everything else, all the little incidentals of life, I think God intervenes. Like if we pray, I really think God is hearing that prayer. He might know what we're going to pray right before we pray it because He knows our thoughts. But I don't think He knows what we're going to pray before we're born. I sounded like Bernie Sanders there. So that's how I think. I think things are working in real. I think God is in time. I think things are working in real time. I don't think, people. I know you guys aren't making fun of me, but it almost sounds like you're mocking when oh, Matthew, you don't think the future exists. Well, if you think about it for 2 seconds, the future doesn't exist. Tomorrow is a word we say for what's, for the next day,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not here yet. It
Tomorrow
doesn't
never
exist
comes.
yet. It's not in the past. It's not floating somewhere. It doesn't exist for someone
Well,
to know it.
it's on my calendar. But
It's on
yeah, that's the only place it exists is on a calendar.
You can write it. You can make a calendar for a million years from now, but those days haven't happened yet.
True.
I guess that's hoping for things unseen, tomorrow.
I mean, we just use the terms,
You're saying basically that like when Moses was going through his whole deal with God, right? Like that was not him, God predetermining that Moses was going to do this, that, and the other thing. Pharaoh was going to do this, that, and the other thing. But rather, it was God actively acting in time, doing these things.
I actually think it was
as they were occurring. He was like, I will do this. Like, I'm doing it right now. Like, watch me. Here I go.
Well, Moses didn't think so, because when God said, show him this sign and he'll listen. Well, Moses said, well, what if he doesn't?
Well, I mean, I would have asked this. I would have been like, well, this is like the first couple. It's like, okay, well, you're telling me he's just going to like automatically believe me. And then it's like, no, as a matter of fact, no, he's not. 10 times he's going to tell you like, no. Well, then why am I even asking him? Like, because you have to.
Yeah. I mean, the language is perhaps he'll believe the next time, or perhaps he'll believe this miracle.
Yeah,
perhaps
exactly.
he'll believe that one.
But God always knew that he was going to get to 10 beforehand. Or like, how does,
because God has means, he's gonna, if he wants something to happen, he's either just gonna make it happen with no questions asked. People are gonna be prompted to the point where their will is totally overridden, or he's gonna work.
He could have just said, like even in that moment in time, he could have hardened Pharaoh's heart,
Well, it does say Pharaoh hardened his own heart, and then God hardened his heart some more.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's just the way it reads,
Right. Well, I mean, I'd be a little bit mad too if like my Nile, the Nile, which I claim that I'm the freaking god of, like, you turned it all nasty and I don't have an explanation now. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a little ticked because now I have to answer to all these people that are, yelling at me because it turned red and it's all bloody and I got to deal with this nonsense now, right?
I was trying to think of things to refute um, the open theism in my head, the things that have happened in my own life, and so I'm going through all these things, and I'm thinking of this close head-on collision I almost had, and then like God or something spoke to me and said, "Slow down, slow down." So I slow down. So I thought, yeah, he knew that was coming, but it's happening in real time, right? He can see the truck a quarter mile away from me.
But
So
what if it was just, what if it was just you? Like, maybe you were just at that moment for some strange reason. You yourself were like, maybe I should go a little slower. And then all of a sudden you see a deer. Like,
no,
was the deer
that's not the
placed
way it
there
happened
on
at all.
purpose? Or was the deer just randomly there?
Yeah, no, that's not the way it happened. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I mean, I heard like an audible voice in my chest. If that's ridiculous, that's ridiculous. But
No, it's interesting.
and twice it happened, and I slowed down, and it said slow down some more, and so I did. I went right down to 50, and like then I don't know, I can't gauge distance. A couple of 100 feet in front of me, truck comes around the corner in my lane. But I was trying to think, okay, God knew the future there. But obviously he's seen the truck in my lane. It was just kind of interesting to me. So, because I've been trying to run all these scenarios through my head, right? One I did come up with that I was curious about was my mother. When my brother was 18, he had a really bad car accident. And but for 3 days before that, my mom had a premonition. And she said, something's going to happen to Mark. I just know it. I just know it. And so for 3 days, us kids weren't allowed to. No, she knew something was going to happen to one of her kids. And we weren't allowed to do anything because she didn't know which one it was. But then my brother had his accident at midnight. My mom was still awake and she said, okay, it's over. Whatever happened, happened. So how did my mom have that premonition? Just because it's her flesh and blood, that kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Lord can't still be active today doing things.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. I mean, what else are the angels going to do? They're going to.
Well, I'm just trying to figure stuff out in my own head here.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know. It could have been a number of things.
But if it's a premonition and it's several days in advance, then how can you have knowledge of something or fear something that's going to happen in the future when God doesn't even know it? Doesn't make sense.
I don't know. Is it because you can love something so much and you're that close to it, or something? I don't know. Like, I don't know. Is there something else that we're not seeing?
No, I've heard that too. Like the bond, like it was crazy. Like just the other day, like I had something maybe kind of like that. Like, I don't know. I was sleeping, dead sleep. I was awoken in my dream. Like, I was in the dream, and then I heard somebody like say my name, and it was my mom. But like, she hadn't actually said my name or anything, right? I was just asleep in a dream. But then she said my name again, but she was actually there now the second time, and she woke me up. And I was like, what the heck? Because like I understood the first time because I woke up. It was like that, and I was about to go back to sleep, and then she comes in, and I was like that same thing that just like happened in my dream, like just right now. Like,
You live with your mom?
at the moment, yes, because setbacks. You got a problem with it?
That's funny the way he reacted to Helen.
I mean, it's the stereotype. It's like, oh my gosh, you live with your mom? What is that,
In the
like a bad
basement.
thing? Like, since when do you guys have any jurisdiction over what I do? You know what I'm saying?
I just think it's cute, Albert.
It's funny.
I'd live
Yeah.
with my mom too if she wasn't dead.
Well,
So would I. My mom was living in this very house when she passed away.
Well, sorry about that, but
Oh, we're all heading there one day.
exactly. See that? See, now you're learning. There is no rapture.
If I don't get raptured.
Well, that's true. If you don't get raptured,
To be left behind.
I finally watched one of those movies. Left
Oh
Behind.
gosh, I would never watch it.
you got to watch it just for fun, though.
It was stupid.
It's got to be a joke.
It was stupid.
Planes falling out of the sky, right?
I don't remember.
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's just like that. It's just like, oh, so like one.
Oh yeah. You're right.
And then the entire highway across the entire Earth, all the people are going to get raptured away. You know how many accidents and fatalities that's going to cause right there? But then they'll be like, oh, but that's the beginning of the tribulation.
Right.
It's like, really?
And the rest of the world will still have no reason to believe in Jesus Christ once all the Christians just suddenly disappear.
It's like, it's not a big enough tip.
Like you'd even have to preach.
I think it would be quite obvious.
Yeah.
Every Christian just disappeared. Nah, Christianity, I'll pass.
No, they'd be like, finally, we defeated them.
I get her car. But you don't actually think it through when you're a dispensationalist. You really
No,
don't.
You don't. You
I
don't.
And when I questioned things, I'd always just squash them because there was no one to ask.
Right. You just know that Israel's going to get saved. That's all you know. You don't know how, when, why.
Yeah.
You just know they're going to get saved. And if you say they're not, well, you're an anti-Semite.
Oh yeah, and you're also a what's that?
Replacement theology.
Yeah, you're into that too.
I love labels.
Yeah. That pastor that came in there the other day, I didn't even say a word. He said, yeah. He says like his buddy was in town, they were talking or something like that, and he believes Christ is coming real soon. I think he's already been here. I don't know.
So I have a confession to make. I actually listened to the
Oh, did
hangout.
you?
I listened to the hangout the other day, so I knew the story was about Zach.
Oh, that's hilarious.
See, a man who did his homework.
I was actually going to confess it, and then we got off track. You don't really need to confess it. We did.
I would have known anyway because Zach was so passionate about it.
But it makes me think, it makes me think both ways.
See, I just don't think God really cares about these worship services that we have. I got to be honest with you. I don't know if he cares about church. I mean, I'm sure to some degree he does. But
No, he cares about the church, but not the building.
You have to play music for half an hour before God shows up, right?
I mean, I really don't think God cares about the music. I really don't.
But haven't you heard that in a service before? Oh, can you feel the presence of God now?
Yes, my whole Christian life.
Yes.
And like Benny Hinn, like, in the name of the Lord, like, I can do this too. I can pretend.
Did you see that interview when that guy asked him about hypnotism? Benny Hinn? Did you see that interview?
I didn't see that, but I know that there's some funny Benny Hinn.
Well, he actually admits it, right?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't come right out and admit it, but he says, yeah, but there's a spirit there too.
Yeah, your spirit. The spirit of deception.
I was like, wow. Even when I was a dispensationalist, I never went for any of that, like TV.
Yeah, if you've never watched it, you got to watch the Street Fighter on YouTube. It's Street Fighter like Pastor Edition or whatever. Benny Hinn is on there. Like it's great. Like you'll definitely laugh at that. If you didn't laugh at the last cartoon, this cartoon is actually funny. Because so Benny Hinn is obviously full of, he's not real. Actually, I do like Joel Osteen though. Like, he seems like he might actually be kind of legit, although he does like to cash out. You know, I can't
Uh,
flag him for just that. I can't be like, well, he's got a lot of money, so therefore he's bad guy. Like, can't do that.
yeah, but I mean, I've heard him say, well, I guess if he's pushed, he doesn't like to admit that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life.
Oh, well, I mean, if he's gonna say something like that, well, then he gets a flag.
Like, I've seen him say that actually a couple of times.
He's a inclusionist. He doesn't want to get very specific when it comes to the gospel.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he wants to get everybody.
He sounds like he's a hopeful universalist.
He's a universalist.
Hopeful.
Hopeful. But thanks for your donation.
I know, Stacy. I know you like Joel Osteen a lot, and that's fine. But I don't like him even a little bit. I think he's a deceptive, money-hungry man. I really do.
I want to watch from your eyes.
I didn't like him until I listened to him.
Oh, I've listened to him, and he's very uplifting. But I don't know if that's a good thing. Sometimes, it doesn't have to be good. It can be a deceptive uplifting. A lot of people,
He's definitely,
a lot of people want to go to that church.
he's about the wealth and the health. That's for sure.
Well, having life more abundantly.
Yeah. Well, health and wealth. Did you see that? You guys, did you check out that interview with about where that what's the guy that looks like a snake? What's his name? He actually looks like a snake. What's his name?
Oh, I know who you mean. He's got those shifty eyes.
Oh yeah.
He got a big, heavy Southern accent.
Yeah. Oh, he's from Texas.
Is it a snake or a serpent?
Well, he looks like a snake.
I know exactly who you mean. I can't think of his name.
Is it like the viper kind of snake or like a normal snake?
I want to know who this is.
Oh, come on, you guys. He's
I
like
know who it is. I
richest
can't think of his
creature.
name.
Just Google it. Like, come on, Google will help you figure it out.
What should I Google?
Whatever you need to Google in order to get
Rich
Google
preachers in the state.
Scam preachers.
Rich preachers in Texas. Let's see what comes up.
Like whatever you need, like Google whatever information you know to get to him.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Kenneth Coleman.
Yeah, it's Kenneth Copeland.
Oh, the Copeland.
Have you
Yeah.
seen that interview with it's the newest one where he gets caught kind of off guard and he's interviewing? I thought he looked like he was actually going to fly into a rage from the questions she was asking him.
Maybe he had a demon in him.
You got to see it. It's like it's almost disturbing. I don't even know what it.
I agree. It's who did that?
I don't know.
It was either Veritas or it was.
Yeah, I
Kenneth
mean you can
Copeland.
share any links in the Discord. We just can't put them on here unless we like. The other day was an exception because that just so happened to be Stacy's video. So like
Kenneth Copeland interview. Oh, you know what? I think it might have been with Inside Edition. That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And he grabs her hand and I'm like, oh man, he is freaking cursing you inside. Like he's actually laying a curse on you, lady. Don't let him touch you. Oh yeah, she runs up to him and catches him right off guard.
But this is all scripted, of course, right?
That's the thing is how can you just run up to him?
Like the whole scenario
Well, it
doesn't
looked like he was
make sense.
coming out of an airport.
Like at the perfect time, this demon comes out of the crowd, and I'm gonna exercise.
I don't think it was scripted. If it did, if it was, it made him look really, really bad.
Well, but not for all the people who bought it.
Well, don't bad guy actors look really, really bad when they're playing the bad guy?
Not if they're
It's
doing a
got
bad job.
4 million views since May 20th.
See, that means people like it. They're not paying attention to whether it's true or not. They're just watching it and being like, right?
And she doesn't let him go either. You should read the comments on the video.
Yeah, the comments are always fun.
This guy has demon eyes. You can see the filth inside trying to hide from the light of truth.
Yeah, comment sections can be brutal but honest.
I know. She confronts him about when he said he wouldn't get into an airplane, like a regular flight, on a regular flight with a tube full of demons and sinful people.
Sinful people, as in devil.
So she asked him what he meant by that, and he was like, he stumbled over his words. He didn't really know what to say.
Well, that's what happens. Yeah.
Hollywood should cast this guy as Batman's next villain. He says, "I love your eyes." Oh, jeez, that's one guy that just doesn't do it for me.
Batman, yeah, me either.
I said to a friend of mine one day, that guy is just, there is something wrong with him. And what did he say? He quoted me a scripture and he said, "Touch not thine anointed."
Oh my gosh, I
He
love.
did. He said it. Huh?
I was talking about David,
Yeah, I know.
and I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but my pastor used to use that too. Whenever he thought somebody was opposing him.
Yeah. Touch not thine anointed.
And then that's when you're like, context, and then you punch him, right?
But anointed one just means it's the same word as for Christian.
That's what I told the guy. I said, "You do realize you're an anointed one too, right?" He didn't say anything.
It's like, oh, we're both anointed, so now what? Like, now we're on equal ground.
Oh, I think I even commented on this one. That's funny.
It's always funny when you see your old comments. That's great.
I said, "Ha ha ha." I said, "He blew that one big time. Welcome, pay to pray preaching." I wonder if she will have a job next week.
Oh my gosh, pay to pray. Wow, that's great. I like that term.
One guy says, "I almost thought Satan was going to explode out of him." Yeah, there's not too many people defending him. Jesus rode a great stallion. No, wait, I think that was a donkey. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he's a disturbing one. I don't know too many other really disturbing ones that really, that Dollar guy, he's quite a character too. What's his name? Creflo Dollar.
Well,
Yeah, he's quite a character.
you think that's his real last name?
No.
Well, first off, that's not his real name at all, probably. I mean, if somebody's going to name you, be like, oh, what should we name him, honey? Oh, I don't know, Creflo. Like, where did you come up with that, honey? Like,
Well, I'm gonna Google what his real name is here.
but yo, I ain't trying to hate on Creflo if you're hearing this. Like, good up, work, big up yourself if you're a preterist, right?
Creflo Augustus Dollar Jr.
I don't believe that person. Really, somebody did that to him, and that's why
So
he's so
there's two
popular.
people with that name.
What's that?
There's two people with that name.
But you did say Augustus. That's a Roman, right?
There you go. That's what I mean. I think they're all actors.
Well, in case you didn't know, Augustus Caesar was the longest reigning Caesar of all the Caesars, and he was the second. Well, actually the first, if you don't count Julius. even though you kind of have to because his name Julius Caesar, right? So he has to be the first. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Don't give Creflo any of your dollars. That's what you need to do.
Oh, and the other guy, what was his name? The one that said that he had to raise 8 million or eight. I think it was 8 million.
Oh, he's like, oh, I need a what? A jet or a
Yeah,
helicopter?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And if he didn't, God was going to kill him. No, it was 8 million for a hospital. He was going to build a hospital or something, and he's really famous too. What's his name? He's an older guy now.
This is Amos, famous Amos, the cookie guy.
I know who it is again, and I can't think of his name.
It was a prophecy, and that God was going to take his life if he didn't raise that money. And anyway, he never ended up raising the money or building the hospital. Oral Roberts? There was another guy.
It's another one. It's another one.
He's like with the politicians. He's always with the politicians.
Yeah, I know. I can picture his face.
Yeah.
If there was a chat, they'd probably be like exploding right now, like saying like, "Hey, it's this." Like, but I don't watch the chat. So
Oh,
I
you
have
don't
no
watch
idea
it?
what it says.
Did you?
The
Well,
actual,
I did check out the chat the other day only because it was sticking up on the side of the, and I was listening to.
I mean, sure, I enabled it. It told me last time that it wasn't enabled for replay or something. So like I re-enabled it. I think so.
Oh, and the
But
guy kept
nonetheless,
saying, "Send me a link. Send me a link."
yeah, about that.
And then, but Catholicism is the only way, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, interesting. That would be an interesting chat. Should have invited him on.
Basically, you should be able to just go to my channel and like the live like that. That's the one. Like, I have to go downstairs if I'm gonna send you a link. And if I'm
Why
gonna
do you
send you
have
a
all
link,
of those Columbine High School on there? I noticed that.
why do I have that on there? Because
Yeah.
I was interested in figuring out why that happened.
Why do you think it happened?
I've come to the conclusion. I mean, all right, fine. You want to know? I've come to the
Most of the
conclusion.
videos were deleted, eh?
Well, yeah, a lot of them were deleted
Yeah.
because, I mean, I don't maintenance it. I just made it once upon a time just for whatever. Maybe some of the videos would still be there, so I could find them again. But basically the whole short and small of the Columbine thing was, I was trying to figure out like what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe the narrative that happened.
Yeah, I didn't either, but
I believe that maybe the two kids did shoot some people up, exactly the two that were said, but I think there was some other shenanigans going on at the same time, a lot of which was covered up, and there was some other shenanigans, and I don't think that they killed themselves, but I think that they were killed because they're, you look at the photo of the end result when they were found. I mean, I don't see how you could possibly get, the items where they were, I don't see how you're going to, for example, shoot yourself in the face with something that's underneath your leg, right? Something like that.
But isn't there something even with the name of the school that's a recurring name?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is a flower, so.
No, I mean like you have Columbia
Columbine?
Space Shuttle, you have Columbia Records, you have District of Columbia, DC.
Okay, so you're saying column, right? And then
Right,
you're adding
Columbine is part
right.
of some.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Like some secret
Mm-hmm.
thing.
But yeah, that's why I have that playlist because I was trying to figure it all out. But I don't know what happened. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think the more you look into it, the more confusing it can get sometimes.
Yeah, it just gets all over the place. I mean, I have my beliefs, but you believe whatever you want to. It doesn't really matter in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
What about Sandy Hook?
But I left it up there for other people, so if they see it, good for them.
What about Sandy Hook?
Again, like I no comment on that one.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't all that convinced.
I wasn't convinced either. But you know, if I could like do like a FOIA request or something and like see, like I know, like I'm not trying to say like I want to see that, but like if I
Mhm.
saw the evidence, you know what I'm saying? Like if I could see it, then I'd be like, all right, well that definitely like that's some bull crap. Like we got to stop that, right? But if you
What?
don't show me any of the evidence, like I can question it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't shown me sufficient evidence; it's not proven, so therefore I'm allowed to question it, in my opinion.
Hmm. What about that major gay shooting that killed 49 people? Where was
What?
that? That was Florida, wasn't it? No, where was that?
Oh, you're talking about the nightclub, John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, there, you know, there's anomalies with that story too. But like again, the people pointing out the quote unquote anomalies are, you know, the people that think that everything else is a conspiracy. So like you have to kind of look at it from both sides every single time
Hmm.
and be like, I don't know. Like it's perfectly possible that there are crazy people in the world. It's just like, all
Yeah,
right,
but
what's the
why
proof
is
in
it
it?
almost always in the States?
Yeah, why is it always here? Like, I mean, well, maybe we just don't hear about it happening elsewhere because they don't have news. You know, I don't know. It's fun to think about it though, huh? It's like, why don't we hear about that? It's like, well, because it's just like warlord destroys entire village. Like, do you really want to read that? They don't
Yeah.
put that, but even though it might have happened.
Well, I think anybody that, if there's over a certain amount of people dead, it makes worldwide news.
I don't think so. I don't think every time.
What
I
about that
mean,
one in
it
Paris?
might make
That
it
one
might
with
make
that one
worldwide
in
news
Paris where the
somewhere.
truck ran over everybody? That looked ridiculous.
I mean, is it possible for you right now to keep track of the news of all countries right now? Like, and you can understand all the articles that are written from like all like,
No, but when it's a school shooting and there's all these children involved, it usually makes the news. Usually.
well, that's generally what the idea is with that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
That's gonna tear at the heartstrings.
I
But
My mind's not made up yet. Like for that Sandy Hook thing, there was some father that before he went up to the podium, he was laughing, joking around, and then he gets up to the podium and he starts breathing and getting into his act. And there's a lot of B-rated actors that
yeah, and that guy actually just sued some people who wrote a book saying that the whole thing was fake, and he won. So
Hmm.
that guy won the case.
Yeah.
I mean, enough said right there. I mean, you already knew that was going to happen, but
Yeah. But look what
Robbie,
they've done to what's his pickle.
Robbie Parker was his name. I remember that.
Yeah.
was it a jury trial?
jury trial. No, it's the Sandy Hook.
They left it up to the judge
Oh,
to make a decision.
mm, I don't remember that detail. I'm sorry.
Well,
I don't know.
what about that guy on YouTube that still covers it? They took him to court. They sued him. But every time they sued him, like 2 days before, they'd back out.
I mean, you can tell this is just a way to silence people who, you know, who deny these false flags.
Yeah,
Keep
it could
people
be that.
quiet.
That is kind of the theme of tonight, if you think about it. From the first, before you guys even got here. Sorry.
What? Did
Nothing.
I
I
miss
was
something there,
remembering a
Albert?
conversation since before you guys even joined the call.
Oh,
There's no conspiracies in Calvinism because God is the ultimate conspirator.
Are you mocking me?
No. No, I just had that thought and I had to say it. It's kind of true. If people are going to, conspire to do things, then
Well, yeah, and that does clear exactly like what Proverbs says, but then you would say, well, you can't get your theology from Proverbs.
you have to be very careful when you get your your doctrine from Proverbs.
So that means you're for all verbs, right? That's what it means, right?
And proverbs.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is, right? It's proverbs, right? You're just saying it fast.
I never thought of it that way.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. What do they do in proverbs, whatever you want to call it? The place where they like verbs a lot.
What is Proverbs? Exactly.
That's what I was asking. Exactly.
Wise sayings.
No, like what is Proverbs? Like what who wrote like what were they doing when they were writing it? Like what is this nonsense? Like what right? Like what is it?
It
Do I have
actually
to Google this too?
it says it in the book.
Is it like songs? Is it just like you get in a room, you get in a circle, and then you just like say stuff? Like how you do it?
That's the
How
book
do you
of Psalms.
I don't know. Oh, so that's how you do the Psalms, but then the Proverbs you do what? You just like say them before you eat lunch? Like what do you do?
You know,
It actually says in there when to do it too. Clearly, you've not read Proverbs before.
That's obvious.
they're like fortune cookies from God.
Okay, interesting.
Or
So
tarot cards.
I like fortune cookies, but only because it's like a surprise what they're gonna say.
Fortune cookies, eh?
You know, you know, sometimes you read a fortune and it just doesn't tell you you're going to win something or anything. It's just like a wise saying.
Right.
That's the best kind. You're like,
Confucius say,
yeah, it's like you know what? You're right.
Okay, so to answer your questions, in the book of Proverbs, which is in the middle of the book, chapter 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to understand words of insight, to receive instruction in wise dealing in righteousness,
Okay, I have to flag you already. How many of those words that you just said was verbs?
to give prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the youth. Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance. To understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles. Hear, my son. So this is when. That was what. Here's when. Hear, my son, your father's instruction, and forsake not your mother's teaching. For they are a graceful garland for your head. Okay. If they, let's see where it would be. Do not let them depart. See.
But either way, what is a verb? Like I still don't understand what a verb is. What is a verb? Assuming I don't know anything because I
An
don't.
action word.
Like what is a verb?
An action word.
An action word.
Hmm.
So like I was falling. Like fall is a verb.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So all those things he said, those were not verbs. Those were more like adjectives.
well, that's an adverb.
Oh, not an adverb. Is that like a verb that has an advertisement
Isn't
before
it
it?
just something that describes it?
It's a descriptive word of action.
Yeah. I'm falling quickly.
Well, that's like an adjective describing a verb, isn't it?
You know what? It's been a long time since I was in school, to be honest.
Just to let you know, there is no coincidence in Calvinism, so there's no coincidental fact that there are 31 proverbs chapters in Proverbs. So that means that you don't have to do it every day, but just whatever day of the month it is, you could read that chapter. And you'll end up reading Proverbs 12 times a year.
But is coincidence a verb or what is it? Sorry, I'm not trying. I was asking an honest question.
A
Like,
coincidence?
obviously, for the audience to like, whoever listens, like, you figure it out and tell us. Put it in the comments.
Oh, that's funny. Hmm.
I don't know. I don't think anything is like. Well, I mean, yeah, there were certain things that like totally
So
went down.
is this prosperity gospel?
Prosperity, no,
Honor
no.
the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled with
Dog,
plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine.
you talking to me with that?
That
I
sounds
hope you're not.
like something.
Because the other day, I'll have you know, this deer came out of the forest, which I I'm trying to help it make like a forest where it can eat stuff. I was trying to help the deer. Apparently, he's a little bit too like homely now because I helped him, and he came all the way up to the front here, and he ate the tops off of all of my tomatoes, and he ate all of my tomatoes. And then the next day, he came back, even though I didn't think he would. But he came back the second day, and he ate all my peppers right in front of the tomatoes. So I was like, ah, I hate deers right now. But yeah,
So what
so
are you
like,
what are you
definitely
saying, Stacy?
my garden got wrecked.
What do you mean? What am I saying?
Is that paid? Is that the
Well,
health and wealth?
that sounds like what you guys were criticizing about before about, the prosperity gospels, things like that.
You know what I criticize about it, Stacy?
Well, I mean, it does. I mean, I just read scripture though, and it does sound like something, that Joel Osteen would say, or, um, you know, the prosperity gospel. If you honor God with your wealth, He'll fill your barns and things like that. You'll get more. And what I'm trying to say is that there's two ways to approach that. One is not for the ends, and the other is for the ends. So, I mean, it's really your heart, the state of your heart, of how you take these promises that are within Scripture.
I think it is totally a hard issue
Right.
because the preachers want the money, and so do the parishioners. I'm giving 1,000, so I get 10. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, and I'm saying that, right. And so the prosperity gospel, there in Scripture, it's there. But if you're looking at it for gain versus for gratitude, it's a hard issue.
Totally.
But that doesn't mean that the prosperity gospel doesn't belong in Christianity, because it certainly does, because Scripture states it. But yet it can be, taken advantage of or misappropriated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I trust that God's going to look after me? Absolutely.
Right.
Right? And if he doesn't, then so be it. But I'm not being promised that I'm not going to go through hard times.
Right.
There's no such promise like that,
Right.
right? Because with
Actually,
suffering comes
Right. And God,
perseverance and so on, right?
yeah, you never know.
I think the way it is preached is disgusting, and it's manipulative.
Well, it's because they're preaching it,
it needs to be
preaching another gospel.
it needs to be within balance.
Absolutely.
But because there's other churches that all they want to do is condemn you, right? And then
Yeah.
other churches, all they want to do is uplift you. But Scripture is clear with both condemnation and edification.
Right. So what ditch do you want to be in, I guess?
I
Well,
think
no,
what
it's not
Peter
that.
we're talking about.
Both. You take both to keep from getting into a ditch.
What's her name? That rich preacher. What's her name? Joyce Meyer. She kind of actually come out and, well, she didn't apologize, but she said she definitely maybe went a little too far. if because she used to really preach that if your child died, if your child was sick and he died because you didn't have enough faith.
Wow, that's
And
harsh.
she's very harsh. She kind of come out and
Rob
changed
likes
her
her.
mind.
Rob likes her a lot, but I don't particularly care for her.
Yeah, no, she's not my favorite at all. I listened to her preach one time about Jesus, you can watch it on YouTube, I think. How she was preaching that Jesus went into hell and that he was stomped for
Oh, I
3
love that.
days.
I love that verse.
Stomped for 3 days by
But you know
Satan.
what? Even though I really do dislike her, I think I like her better than that California guy, whatever his name is, that you were asking about.
California guy. Who's that?
The famous pastor that you were asking about, you said you don't like him either. He's been on Larry King Live.
Benny Hinn?
No, not Benny Hinn. He used to fellowship with R.C. Sproul and Ravi Zacharias. He's been on the same panels as them in California.
I'd have to think about it.
I think it's California. Who is that pastor's name? I can't think of his name.
Just type in filthy rich pastor in California. I'm sure it'll come up.
You have
I just
Google
think
and
all the
Alexa and
people
you don't use them? Nothing.
I don't know. I just think there's so much scamming that goes on in the name of whatever.
Oh wait, did you say a scam? Oh, that's perfect. I totally I love scams, except not. I don't like scams. But yeah,
Um,
is a scam?
what
Everything's
was
a
that guy that was a Muslim and he found the Lord? He's got a pretty good testimony. That Wood, what's his name? Wood. He is the one that used to debate him, I think. Anyway, he was dying of cancer. He's a young guy. He was maybe 36, and he went down to Bethel Church, and it was tons of people prophesied over him that God was going to heal him, and wrote all over his Facebook page that God had talked to them and told them that he was going to be healed, had visions of being healed, lots of it, and then he died.
Yep, I have a similar experience.
Yeah.
Well, what if I told you he had a MC in his name, like a Mick?
MacArthur.
MacArthur, that's it. John
Oh
MacArthur.
yeah.
What I was going to say is, even though I really do dislike Joyce Myers, I think I hate John MacArthur more.
You know what? I can't honestly say that I've listened to a ton of John MacArthur. I've listened to him in bits and pieces. I listen more about him because I watch I did watch different videos on Watchmen and just get their different takes on what's going on in the Christian world, so to speak.
I watched a 2-minute video of John MacArthur's on a certain topic, and after watching that 2-minute video halfway, I already knew that he was a clown.
I've listened to
You can
John
tell
MacArthur.
one topic.
I listened
Go
to
ahead.
John MacArthur a lot over the years because I used to listen when I was younger Christian, to and from work, and even during work, I would listen to the Christian radio station, and every day they would have a certain preacher on at a certain time, and John MacArthur would come on. So I heard him just about every day.
Yeah.
Do
you like him?
I can't stand him. I really can't stand him. I think he's preaching a false gospel. He knows the Bible well. It's just he misinterprets most of it.
He actually says that he's a leaky dispensationalist.
What kind of dispensations?
A leaky dispensationalist.
Oh, he is. Most of everybody that's on that radio station, WMCA, was a dispensationalist. All of them.
Thing is that I guess he would have to say that because the people that he actually fellowshipped with are partial preterists. You know, R.C. Sproul, Ravi Zacharias, and those guys. They're all partial preterists. So even though he's within their clan, I guess he would say he's partial preterist, but then he
Does
leaked.
he say he's partial?
What's that?
Does he say he's a partial preterist?
He fellowships with the partial preterists, and I think that
Probably.
I don't think he is.
Actually, no, he's not. But actually, hold on. You have to, Lubel, for your own reference, write this down in your copybook. You have to watch a video on YouTube called "You've Got to Be Kidding," right? Watch that, and then you'll see what the whole thing with R.C. Sproul and the predator. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What were
You
you
were
saying?
saying?
I don't know. I think Stacy was talking.
R.C. Sproul, Stacy.
I forgot.
No, you were saying something about R.C. Sproul and these guys, and they were doing the thing.
Oh, then about him being a partial preterist.
I think he's a partial preterist.
How can you be a leaky dispensationalist and a partial preterist?
I understand that, but the thing is that he was fellowshipping with the partial preterists, and I believe that.
Well, I fellowship with you guys.
Yeah, but this is not normal.
Burned. I don't know who's burned though. Me, probably me.
Their churches are in fellowship together, and they have to agree on
Gotcha.
a lot of stuff. You know.
Well, they.
Let me Google John MacArthur eschatology, and then let me see real quick.
Okay, I'll be right back.
He's a definite dispensation.
I love how you can just like Google someone's opinion nowadays. Be like, oh, let me just see what he says. That's great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's some kind of a dispensationalist.
Premillennialist.
Yeah. Well, that's a dispensationalist.
Yes, it is.
So I'm not sure what he means by that.
Premillennial.
Oh, I guess he just means that he just doesn't believe in the dispensations. That could be what it is. Hey, Matthew?
What, premillennial?
No, he could call himself a leaky dispensationalist because he doesn't believe in the different dispensations.
I can't imagine how you would just use the word leaky to describe anything.
I don't know.
Makes no sense.
I watched him say it. It's called.
Well, a pipe.
There's a video about him being a leaky dispensation. I watched him say it, and then he went on to explain, but I can't remember what he explained.
I Googled that. It said MacArthur describes himself as a leaky dispensationalist. While he holds to premillennialism and pre-tribulational rapture of the church and literal fulfillment of all of the covenant promises made to the Jews, he respects some of the classic dispensational ideas, such as the law having no application to the church. It sounds like he's all over the place.
What does Joel Osteen believe? What is he?
He doesn't really speak about eschatology.
Oh, yeah.
He's more interested in helping people to be grateful for the station that they're in at the moment.
Hmm.
or making their life better through faith. Pretty much, I mean, and then people say he never uses the Bible. That's sort of telling on them, not him, because he'll actually use the Bible quite frequently.
You know
But
what was interesting though? I did hear him say he doesn't teach and preach out of the Bible because he doesn't know it that well.
oh, he knows it well. He actually just doesn't quote to you book and chapter and verse, but yet he'll say word for word several scriptures. He knows
Yeah.
the Old Testament better than I do.
Well, you don't know that, Stacy. You know it pretty good.
Yeah, but I'll listen to some of the sermons and he'll talk about some of these Old Testament examples, and I'm like, what? I don't remember that. And then I'll have to look at it. But if that's all you listen to, that's even against his own advice. He says, find yourself a Bible-based church, and join, kind of thing. He says that at the end of every sermon, actually.
Yeah, because you're going to learn a lot at church.
Well,
you know what? I shouldn't say that. I just maybe haven't given enough churches a chance.
you should totally find an Eastern Orthodox church.
There's one down the street here. It's got a great big dome on it. Maybe I'll check that one out.
If you're in it and you got your cell phone with you, please take a picture of it for me. I'd love to see what it looks like inside.
I will. I went to a bake sale there one time. I bought a whole bunch of pierogies and left them in my car and forgot about them.
Oh,
One big lump of dough.
hmm.
You guys getting tired yet?
Yeah, I got to get up in the morning.
Yeah, I got a busy day tomorrow too. Everybody else took the day off. If I'd known it was a long weekend, I would have too. Totally forgot.
Our long weekend will be next weekend.
What's oh yeah, July.
Mm-hmm. July 4th. That's
Yeah.
my mother's birthday.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a blessed night.
Yeah, you too.
Great weekend.
Good night, Albert.
God bless.
You still there? I guess not.